Okay po, so pag-usapan po natin ngayon yung Declaration of National Calamity for a period of 1 year ni PBBM. So this is proclamation number 1077 po ni President Bongbong Marcos. Okay? And the reason for this po is because of number 1, the effects of Typhoon Tinyo. So kung makita po ninyo dito, as of 1 day ago sa Philippine News Agency, 224 na po ang namatay sa Typhoon Tinyo. And aside from the deaths, I'm sure nakita nyo naman po yung mga videos, diba? So nakita na nyo yung economic damage din na dinulot ni Typhoon Tinyo. So because of all of this, all of the deaths and the damage, the economic damage, PBBM now declared a state of national calamity for a period of 1 year. Okay, so for today po, I will be explaining unang-una po kung meron ba talagang ganyang power ang isang presidente. Okay, and then pangalawa po, i-discuss ko na lang din kung parehas ba yung ganyang declaration sa declaration ng martial law. Okay, so baka isipin nyo po medyo controversial. Hindi po ako nagtatry or nagsastart ng controversy. Gusto ko lang po mapakita talaga sa inyo kung ano ba yung mga powers ng president under the Constitution. Okay, so hopefully klaro po yan ha. So wag po kayo mag-assume na kung ano-ano dyan. Okay, and then pangalawa po, explain ko na lang yung mga pros and cons din. Kung ano yung mga magagandang dinudulot or pwedeng maidulot po ng isang ganitong declaration. And just like all things po, of course, meron din yung cons or yung pangit na pwedeng mangyari. Okay, so yan po lahat ang maging discussion natin for today. Okay, so good day po my fellow taong bayan, and to start things off po, discuss muna natin yung actual facts ng discussion natin. Okay, so like what I have already explained kanina sa intro, yung main reason po kaya dineclare to ni PBBM yung proclamation number 1077 is because of the effects of Typhoon Tinyo and because of the incoming typhoon, si Bagyong Uwan. Although si Bagyong Uwan currently, ang alam ko po, medyo, well, may damage pa rin, pero not as worse or as grabe compared to Typhoon Tinyo. And kahit nga po dito sa amin sa Metro Manila, so nakadeclare po as signal number 3 dito, pero hindi naman po ganun ka lakas yung effects based on my personal experience po. So anyway po, going back, because of Typhoon Tinyo and the Typhoon Uwan, PBBM declared a 1-year state of national calamity. Okay, and then yung death toll po currently ni Typhoon Tinyo is already 224. Okay, so hindi ko na po ipapakita yung specific breakdown, pero majority po nitong deaths na to ay nanggaling sa Central Visayas. Okay, so yan po yung facts ng discussion. Ngayon, punta na po tayo sa legal side of things naman. And to start things off po for our legal discussion, nandito naman po tayo sa favorite batas nating lahat, which is the 1987 Constitution of the Philippines. Okay? And the reason being po kasi because ito pong power or ito pong ginawa ni PBBM ngayon, yung proclamation declaring a state of national calamity, that is what we call po under the Constitution as the emergency powers of the President. Okay? At ang nangyayari po dyan, that is actually a power of Congress, pero dinedelegate lang sa President para yung President ang mag-implement or mag-execute. Okay, at may kita po natin yan sa Article 6 ng ating Constitution, to be specific po in Section 23. Yan, ito po. So Section 23. And then sa number 2 po yung titingnan natin. In times of war, of course, di tayo sa times of war. Okay, dito tayo sa pangalawa. Other national emergency. Okay, so when you say national emergency, dito po pumapasok yung mga natural disasters like that of yung ginawa ni Bagyong Tinyo. Okay, so anyway, going back po, other national emergency, the Congress may by law authorize the President for a limited period and subject to such restrictions as it may prescribe to exercise powers necessary and proper to carry out a declared national policy. Unless sooner withdrawn by resolution of the Congress, such powers shall cease upon the next adjournment thereof. Okay, so kung makikita po natin, kailangan talaga to siya ng merong implementing law or enabling law. Okay, so ipapakita ko rin po yung Republic Act, yung specific Republic Act regarding this na nagbigay po ng state of calamity powers sa ating President via the emergency powers. Okay, pero before we go there po, sagutin ko muna yung controversial, yung quote-unquote controversial question po, kung somewhat similar ba to sa declaration of martial law. Okay, so in a sense po, they are somewhat somewhat similar considering they are both powers of the president. Okay? Although yung martial law po, that is an actual power mismo ng presidente dun sa Article 7. Okay? Under talaga ng executive department. Whereas naman po, itong emergency powers, this is also a power of the president although delegated lang sa kanya by Congress. Okay? So yan yung first difference nila. And then the next difference po nila is that dun po for martial law, may specific grounds din provided yung constitution natin. So ipakita ko na lang din po para mas klaro talaga tayo. So ito po, this is section 18 of Article 7 of the 1987 Constitution. So kung makita po ninyo, dito tayo sa second sentence, in case of invasion or rebellion when the public safety requires it, he may for a period not exceeding 60 days suspend the privilege of the writ of habeas corpus or place the Philippines or any part thereof under martial law. Okay, so kung makita po ninyo, ang martial law, ang purpose nito is para labanan po ang invasion or rebellion or for public safety concerns. Okay, yan yung rason yan. Tapos doon naman po sa emergency powers, depende na lang po yun kung ano yung ilalagay sa enabling law. So for this case po, doon sa Bagyong Tinyo, that is based on mga natural disasters. So ipapakita ko naman po sa inyo ngayon yung Republic Act that gives PBBM the power to declare a state of national calamity. At yung Republic Act po na yan is what we call Republic Act 10121, an act strengthening the Philippine Disaster Risk Reduction and Management System, providing for the national, so on and so forth. So basahin nyo na po itong title na to. So una ko pong masasabi dito, I'm sure napuyat po siguro kayo kasi text ng text kagabi, lalo na po sa ating mga affected dun kay Bagyong Uwan. So madami po to siyang text. Yung asawa ko po nag-message sa akin na hindi daw siya makatulog kaka-text ni Bagyo or kaka-text po ni NDRRMC. So sinabi ko po sa kanya mag-airplane mode na lang siya. Okay? And the reason po, baka nagtataka kayo bakit di kami magkasama ng asawa ko, it's because ako po ngayon, separate kami ng wife ko because of the baby namin. Yung baby kasi namin laging magulo, umiiyak sa gabi. So hindi ako nakatulog pag nandun. So solo muna sila and then solo rin po ako. Pero anyway po, moving on sa personal setup namin ngayon as a couple, as a married couple, balik po tayo sa topic natin. Okay, so again, this is RA 10121 and then may kita po natin yan dito sa section 17. Ito po talaga yung gusto ko i-discuss sa inyo. Una po, padaanan ko lang din yung section 16. So section 16 po, Declaration of State Calamity. So ayan, basahin nyo na lang po. Basically in summary, magbibigay ngayon yung NDRRMC ng referral sa presidente na meron siyang basis to declare a state of calamity. And then once declared na po yung state of calamity, ngayon pupunta tayo dito naman sa next step, section 17, kung ano yung mga powers na meron yung presidente when there is a declaration of a state of calamity. Okay? So, unahin ko po muna yung pros niyan. Okay? So, kung makikita po ninyo, itong letter A, ito yung maganda because there is now an imposition of price ceiling on basic necessities and prime commodities by the President upon the recommendation of the implementing agency as provided for under Republic Act number 7581, otherwise known as the Price Act or the National Price Coordinating Council. Okay? So, yung most recent law po natin na related dito sa 7581 is what we call RA 10623. Okay? And then yung titingnan lang po niyan natin dito is this one po, yung section 6, automatic price control. So kung makikita po ninyo dito, unless sooner lifted by the President, price control of basic necessities under this section shall remain effective for the duration of the condition that brought it about but not more than 60 days. Okay? So meron pong price control agad ngayon for basic commodities for a period not more than 60 days. Okay, yung problem lang so far na, or yung potential problem po na nakikita ko na posibleng mangyari in this declaration ni PBBM is because the law states 60 days only sa price control, pero yung dineclare po niya ngayon is 1 year. Diba? So, tingnan na lang po natin kung ano mangyari later on, kung magiging big issue ba to sa declaration ni PBBM. Okay, pero anyway po, this is the first pro if there is a declaration of a state of national calamity kasi at least ngayon, yung mga swapang, hindi po sila pwede mag-take advantage dun sa mga tao na nangangailangan talaga kasi there is now a price control na for a period of 60 days. Okay, so yan po yung una. And then yung pangalawa po na titingnan natin is letter B. Somewhat similar lang din naman po itong dalawa. Pero itong letter B, naka-specific na po siya for prime commodities, medicines, and petroleum products. Okay, so again, yung mga swapang po dyan, hindi pwede maging swapang since there is now a declaration of a state of national calamity. Okay, and then letter C, programming/reprogramming of funds for the repair and safety upgrading of public infrastructures and facilities. So ito po, kung nakita nyo yung reaction ko, medyo nag-iba kasi alam naman natin na this is a source of corruption. Okay, I'll be completely honest with all of you, 'di ba? Ito yung pinanggalingan ngayon ng flood control issue, itong mga procurement na yan, yung mga reprogramming of funds na yan. Pero anyway po, mamaya last ko na to i-explain. Ngayon punta muna tayo sa letter D. Ito rin, maganda rin po to considering na there is now a granting of no interest loans by government financing or lending institutions to the most affected section of the population through their cooperatives or people's organizations. Okay? So kung makikita po nyo, di ba, recently meron din pong post about SSS granting yung 20,000 loan. So kung ito po ang i-implement din to ni PBBM, then pwede po yun ngayon magkaroon ng no interest via that government financing or lending institution. Okay? Pero ipapadaan po yan sa cooperatives or mga people's organization. So yan po ang mga pros when there is now a declaration of national state of calamity via the emergency powers of the president. Ngayon, padaanan ko lang din po itong letter C. Ito lang yung con actually sa nakikita ko, or yung very obvious na con or negative when there is a declaration of this. Okay? So for that po, dun sa mga reprogramming ng funds na yan, of course, that involves mga government projects. Therefore, papasok yan ngayon sa procurement law natin or yung mga bidding. Okay? So, yung pinaka-recent law po natin dyan is Republic Act 12009. Okay? Pero titingnan po natin is the IRR or the Implementing Rules and Regulations of RA 12009 para mas specific talaga yung discussion. Okay? So, ang important nating iti-take note dito is yung negotiated procurement. Yung tinatawag po na negotiated procurement. Okay, so negotiated procurement po is defined under this IRR sa section 35 as ito po yan, is a mode of procurement of goods, infrastructure projects, consulting services whereby the procuring entity directly negotiates a contract with a technically, legally, and financially capable supplier, contractor, or consultant. Okay, so kung makita po ninyo, di ba? The procuring entity directly negotiates a contract. Okay, so pag directly negotiates po, ibig sabihin yan ngayon, wala nang bidding. Kung ano yung mapagkasunduan ng dalawang entity, yung procuring entity plus yung contractor, yun na ngayon yung magiging contract or yung magiging price for that contract. So, ang first issue ko lang po talaga dito is that, of course, di ba ngayon, naglalabasan dun sa Senate hearings na inflated talaga yung mga prices daw ng government projects or to be specific po dun sa DPWH as per dun sa mga resource persons sila Engineer Bryce Hernandez. So, dito, there is a chance or a possibility na magkaroon din ng ganon. Diba? Yun yung reality talaga. Hindi ko po sinasabing magkakaroon na automatic magkakaroon ng ganon, pero since yun yung testimonies or yung expert opinion nila Engineer Bryce Hernandez na lahat daw ng DP projects are all overpriced, inflated, then any reasonable person po would conclude na lalo na dito since direct contracting na to, kasi sila yung nag-uusap, posible to siyang maging subject din for abuse. Okay? So yan lang po yung point ko. Posible or may potential siya for abuse. So since ganun nga po yun na possible siya for abuse, yung magiging assignment po nating lahat as the taong bayan na may pakialam po sa pera ng bayan ay bantayan natin kung ano yung magiging actions basically ng government po natin, kung inflated ba or tama lang yung magiging presyo. Kasi it's very unfair naman po, di ba, kung makita natin na nabaha na nga, na damage yung properties ng mga fellow taong bayan natin, tapos yung pag-repair pa ng mga bagay-bagay ay papagkakitaan pa or abusuhin pa ng government natin yung powers nila. Okay, and idagdag ko na lang din po pala, itong lahat ng actions na to ng government, these are all subject to judicial review din po. So, ibig sabihin yan, kung merong isang tao na tingin mali-mali yung ginagawa, pwede po yan questionin in court yung actions. Hindi po to absolute power na wala ng checks and balance na mangyari. Okay? Meron pa rin po via judicial review. Okay, so anyway po ngayon, i-discuss ko lang din saglit kung ano ba yung basis bakit nagiging negotiated procurement. And yung basis lang po niyan is 35.2 emergency cases. Nakalagay po kasi talaga dito, this mode of negotiated procurement may be resorted to in any of the following cases. Imminent danger to life or property during a state of calamity, when time is of the essence arising from natural or man-made calamities or other causes where immediate action is necessary. So ngayon, alam naman po natin na there is already a declaration of emergency dun sa national state of calamity. So pasok na to sa letter A. And even dito po sa letter B, it can also be argued na ito yung basis kaya ngayon magkakaroon na ng negotiated procurement para sa rehabilitation efforts brought by Bagyong Tinio. Okay, so again, yan po dito yung section 17 letter C. So lahat po tong diniscuss natin currently, dito po yan papasok more or less. Kasi this one involves po yung mga government projects na. Okay, so hopefully klaro po yan. So in conclusion po, yung pinaka-summary talaga natin dito is number 1, meron pong authority talaga na mag-declare ng ganyan si President Marcos because we have an enabling law tungkol sa mga natural calamities, which is yung NDRRMC law po natin. Okay, and then pangalawa, meron din po talaga tong pros or magagandang idudulot like yung protection po sa prices for essential goods, basic commodities, and then for mga gasolina, for medicine, so on and so forth. And then meron din pong yung 0% interest sa mga loan via the financial institutions po of the government. And pangatlo po, yung issue lang talaga or posibleng magkaroon ng issue sa nakikita ko talaga is dun lang sa procurement. Okay, hindi ko po sinasabing magkakakurakutan agad or magkakakorruption agad, but based on everything we have been seeing po sa mga Senate hearings involving DPWH projects, there is really a possibility na magkaroon ng corruption issues. Okay, so yung magiging hope and prayer ko na lang po dito is yung mga public servants po natin ay manindigan talaga at sundin yung kanilang mandato based on their oath of office and based on the words of the Constitution para po hindi further maabuso yung mga taong bayan ng Republic of the Philippines. Okay, so hopefully klaro po yan. If you like more legal videos, subscribe lang po kayo sa channel ko. And until next time, see you all po. Bye-bye!